we're missing Justice Compton, who, and with the hearing, I think they've granted. And Alan's going to be. I don't apologize to anybody for the effectiveness of our State Department of Justice in its assigned role, but bear in mind we're service troops. We've been for many years gathering intelligence, and that's what we're supposed to do. We've been disseminating that intelligence to local law enforcement. We've got great intelligence files, and that makes the intelligence officer very happy, but it doesn't make me and the average citizen very happy. They want action taken against the people that are moving in increasing numbers. In other words, maybe at some point the legislature will have to reevaluate our assigned role. Maybe it isn't enough that we be service troops anymore. Maybe some other action has to be taken. We might as well start then. No? Where do you want me? I think they get your name and plate here. Herb? Your negotiations, I've got a couple of things that I'd like to discuss with you after they get through shooting their pictures, and then anybody else in here to come out and talk to you, or Gary, let them know that they're convenient to take as well. We've got to get things the way that's like it. On the commission, met our staff. Not if you want to introduce yourself.
I believe they've all met our staff.
I think they probably granted a hearing to come later, but not today.
Yes, that's right. I talked to Jim on Saturday, and he's up and around.
Now, well, in the first place, the National Committee on Criminal Justice Standards and Goals, set up a similar commission to this at the national level, and they have recently submitted a report, a nice fat report typical of Washington products, but among their recommendations at the national level is that every state do what we're doing here in California now, establish its own local commission to evaluate on a statewide basis the successes and failures insofar as our efforts to stop the influx of organized crime. Secondly, I remind you that it's been almost 30 years since one of my predecessors, Earl Warren, established a similar commission, and there has not been any statewide evaluation of the problem in California since that time. And thirdly, you don't have to be in law enforcement to know that the problem is becoming more acute. It's in the last few years there have been more mafia-type killings in California. I think a dozen in the last few years. There's clearly a power struggle going on between the people in the syndicate. California is a lucrative market. Businessmen drool when they think of the 22 million people and the purchasing power that's out here, and that doesn't mean just legitimate businessmen. That means illegitimate businessmen in the rackets. And this is the greatest new market available, and they're going to keep trying. And we have to become more effective in what we're doing to combat the organized crime infiltration. Now, that this commission is going to address. We've got outstanding people on the commission, and they hopefully will come up with a good action program. That's what I emphasize. Satisfied just to say, hear us say, gee, we've got great intelligence files.
What do you mean by action-oriented? What steps can they take?
Well, in particular, in isolated cases now, a district attorney in Los Angeles or Contra Costa will occasionally get a loan shark conviction. They'll occasionally get a bookmaker where they can establish contact between the bookmaker and some mafia-type organization in the East. As you know, a lot of the a lot of the bookmakers have to lay off some of their bets back east, and because they don't have enough money to cover losses, and in that case, they very often are laying off with some member of the syndicate. But you see just bits and pieces here, where each local law enforcement agency has its own capability. But the problem is statewide. Now, whether or not we have to develop a special investigative unit at the state level, and as I say, we don't have the troops or even the responsibility or the authority for that now. Whether we or some other agency should be formed at the state level, or whether we can make the locals more effective by some other means of identification, I don't know. But action-oriented to me means let's get some convictions of some of these people that were out here. It's one thing to send out an intelligence report to the local law enforcement officials saying, hey, so-and-so's in town, so-and-so's in your town, they've taken over the pornography industry. Well, let's do something about it. That's what I mean by action-oriented.
Perhaps you were asked this before I came.
As a problem, I'm not getting hysterical about it. The fact is that